Hello, everyone. Welcome to Family Harvest Farm Volunteer Meeting. We'll get started in just a few minutes. If you want to announce yourself in the chat with your name and your favorite summer crop, that'd be neat. Welcome, Ken. I'm glad that you're into tomatoes. Good to hear from you. And Lily is also into tomatoes. You know, I was going to say tomatoes. Mary, how about you? What's your favorite summer crop?
Well, you know me, I just want to say everything. I'm really excited about growing these sweet potatoes that Paul gave me. I did a little test way soon harvest just to see what it was like. And they're putting off like 10 to 15 potatoes per plant, which is pretty awesome. And I made a really good soup, Paul. It was really good.
Otis says he likes tomatoes, definitely. And Ken is wondering if that's Mary with the rototiller. Mary, what did we call our tractor?
It's a BCS. It's Italian. It's a walk behind tractor. So it's got lots of different implements that you can use. One to break up plant matter, another to break up soil. There's a rototiller implement. There's all kinds of different ones. It's a pretty awesome machine.
Karen Zakata is joining us. Hi, Karen. She's into peaches. Thanks, Karen, for sharing. Welcome, Shelly. Welcome, Katie. And so we're going to be getting started pretty soon here. You'll notice this is a meeting format, so this is a little less formal than our other presentations that we've done, and we're so grateful that you're here today. So thanks for joining us. So thank you all again for joining us, and a few housekeeping items before we get started to help keep the meeting run smoothly and to create an extension of the farm community here today. This meeting is being recorded, and please mute yourself when you are not speaking. Also, please use the chat for questions. And if you would like to ask your question live in person yourself, you could just type your name into the chat saying, Paul has a question, or you can type your full question into the chat, and our wonderful Emily has offered to help us out with asking questions. She's having a bit of internet challenge right now, but I think she'll be back on in just a moment. Also, please consider the Family Harvest Farm values during this meeting, which we're happy to share with you. Have a good attitude, be a good role model, contribute to a positive environment, and avoid words or actions that will hurt others. So thanks for joining us again. And I would also like to thank John Muir Community Health Fund for generously funding Family Harvest Farm, as well as our core collaborators, First Place for Youth, Uplift Family Services, Youth Homes, and the Independent Living Skills Program of Contra Costa County. We could not have created this farm program and community without community support from these organizations and many others. So thank you so much for being here. And thank you, representatives from these organizations. Thank you, Ken, for being here, and for Board of Directors, Karen, for being here as well, and others who I may not be able to see, Katie Hill through the chat right now, but thanks for being here, and we look forward to seeing you out on the farm. As soon as you can make it out there, let us know. And a little bit about who's presenting today. Mary Cherry is our farm manager. She'll be presenting today. Paul Bettelheim from La Miranda Sunrise Rotary, who is the Rotary Program Manager for Family Harvest Farm. You'll also be hearing from him. My name is Hannah Hodgson. I am the Family Harvest Farm Program Manager. Mary and I are the first full-time farm staff. And also Emily Kokernach, who is with John Muir Land Trust in our philanthropy department. Thank you so much, Emily, for helping out. And we have 25 participants, 25 of you for being here. Thank you so much. So volunteers provide tremendous benefit and are integral to what we do and to fulfill our mission. We are grateful for your support, and we cannot do this work without you. Today, we will introduce you to our program. And a little bit about John Muir Land Trust. John Muir Land Trust is the 501c3 nonprofit umbrella over Family Harvest Farm. And John Muir Land Trust mission is right here, you see it in front of you, protects and cares for open space, ranches, farms, parkland, and shoreline in the East Bay. And our vision is to connect people to the land. This is a map of John Muir Land Trust service area, Contra Costa and Alameda counties, with more than 3,500 acres and 17 properties now under stewardship. Many of the most beautiful places in the East Bay are permanently preserved for recreation, wildlife, and scenic views. And you can see Family Harvest Farm, the most northeastern property in dark brown there near the Delta. So a little background about Family Harvest Farm. Jack Cordes and Kim Obra are the co-founders of Family Harvest Farm. They dreamed up this project over 5 years ago, and they're great examples of how a dream can really become a reality. Jack was really inspired to start Family Harvest Farm because of his grandchildren who are adopted through the foster care system. And he also loves gardening and the therapeutic practices of it. And Family Harvest Farm, with that inspiration, does a lot of those things he was inspired by. It engages youth and adults to discover and participate in a local food system that encourages healthy living, nurtures the environment, and feeds the community. Family Harvest, so how do we do that? Family Harvest Farm employs transition-aged youth, 18 to 24 years old, with experience in the foster care system in a hands-on job readiness program, teaching marketable skills and preparing them for life outside of the foster care system. So the three main segments of Family Harvest Farm: one, workforce development program for our apprentices or the foster youth; two, produce for the community; and three, community engagement through volunteerism and workshops and volunteer opportunities. So just the photo here that shows you what the land looked like before we started the farm. Here it is underneath the power lines next to the freeway. Almost forgotten. One of our current volunteers says, I used to drive by that place all the time, and she loves gardening. She just says, I just wish it turned into a garden. And her dream came true. And so you'll see soon some pictures of what the farm looks like today. And at this point, I'd like to see if there are any questions or people have any questions. We're just getting started, so if there's no questions, that's totally fine. So at this point, I'd like to hand it over to Mary, ask Mary if you could share with us a little bit about the apprentices that we work with, kind of the community that they're creating, and how working with apprentices has been going.
Hannah, we actually have a question before, if that's okay, and it's from Joanna or Joanna.
Yeah.
Sure. Do you want to ask that yourself, or should I read it? So the question was, when did the program start?
Yeah, the program began, we were working with our first apprentices in June of 2020. Good question. Definitely appropriate for the overview of the program. All right, Mary, would you like to share with us about working with the apprentices? Mary, I can't see, but I can't hear you either. There we go.
Can you see me now or
I
hear
can
me?
hear you. Yep.
Okay, great. So as Hannah said, the apprenticeship started in June 2020 with 3 apprentices, and we are hoping to employ up to 25 per year. We're close to that. And it's a really beautiful program. The apprentices are totally establishing relationships amongst each other. One of my goals of this farm was community, not just my goal, but everybody's goal was to be able to have community, for the apprentices to be able to have community, especially, and that is definitely happening. We have weekly circles where apprentices are able to speak about their life challenges, where they feel comfortable and safe. And then we also have classes on Wednesdays where we talk about horticulture, life skills, and social emotional skills. And we also have a horticulture therapist come out, and it's really a quite awesome thing. And then we make lunch every day on the farm. Well, 2 days a week right now, but we try to include something from the farm every day. And that's been going super awesome. Our apprentices are really starting to understand the relationship of their food, like being able to grow it and cook it and then serve it. And some of them are really starting to value this. We had an apprentice say that she planted the melons, and then we got to actually see them and harvest them and eat them. And she was like, this is what I've been waiting for, to see my work actually being fulfilled, like getting out of my work what I put into it. And then we also have so we also do wait, I'm skipping to the farm. So the apprenticeship has been awesome. Does anybody have any questions about that? And then I'll talk about the farm.
I think you did a great job, Mary, of summing up the apprenticeship. And one of the other moments that I've seen apprentices really come to life is when we help, we give food to the community. So mostly on Fridays, we have a farm stand where we give away produce to folks in the neighborhood. And that really is like the next level of, yes, growing the watermelon, harvesting the watermelon, eating the watermelon at lunch, and then the other watermelons, giving them away to folks on the street and talking to them about what they're going to cook with the peppers or whatever it is. That's been really exciting for apprentices too, and for myself and I think Mary too.
Yeah, and then them also being able to take the produce home and come back and tell me about what they cooked with it. That's been super exciting. And then being able to say, we used everything to make this meal, like this and this from the farm went into this meal, and being excited about it. So I'm pretty excited about that, because that was one of my favoriteest things when I started farming, is being able to use the produce that I grow in my meals.
Well, that's great, Mary. I think we can move on into the farm, and maybe Mary, if you could share a little bit with us about what the farm looks like right now and what it will look like in the near future. Got a image up here. You can tell us, how true is this image to actuality now?
Well, this image was something that was created when it was just a field. So it's definitely becoming more real. Now we have the pole barn, which is our family room. And we have a greenhouse, and we started our orchard. So we have 8 fruit trees back there. We have a 2 pluots, 2 figs, 2 cherries, and an apple and a lemon. And planted some fruit trees also amongst our growing beds, which are some more figs and some loquats. And then we have our storage containers where we keep our tools and all our kitchen supplies. We are one day going to have chickens, which is really exciting. Everybody's very excited about that. And then we have so I've broke up the farm into plots. So each plot has 10 50-foot beds. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we're about to go 8, 9. So we have almost 9 plots of 10 beds per plot. And we are growing at the moment. We just finished growing watermelons, summer squash. Right now we're growing winter squash, tomatoes, peppers, okra, beets, carrots. We're sowing in the greenhouse, and about to plant out next week. All of our winter greens and cabbage and broccoli and cauliflower and Romanesco. So we're doing it. And awesomely enough, we are going to start selling our produce to the Mount Diablo School District starting, well, not all of our produce, but some of our produce to the Mount Diablo School District starting September 9th. And that's really exciting for us because it'll be our first time having to organize around actually selling our stuff. Giving it away is awesome, but it's also really cool to kind of see that your stuff is super valuable and that people want to pay for it.
Mary, Kenneth has a question. It's in the chat. I can read it. Wondering if the glass or the greenhouse had been finished and the plastic and covering was put on.
Yeah, so the greenhouse is finished. We've been growing in it. It's all ready. It does have a fan that we don't have electricity for. So we have one of the vents in one of the panels that we screened left open so that it could still get air in there. And yeah, we use it. It's awesome.
So Mary, I was hoping that we could share a little bit. I know we want to get into the volunteerism of this program, but share a little bit about what the farm, how we grow at the farm and what kind of practices we use. I have a few slides in here of some of our produce. So if you could go over a little bit about, what are our practices? What do we do?
Yeah, so we really, we use regenerative agriculture practices, which is basically working on regenerating the land and giving to it as much as you're taking, rather than just trying to get as much as you can from it and not really caring about it at all, like our industrial agriculture does around the world. So we really work on building soil, having lots of different things growing, because we want biodiversity. And we built a bioswell around the outside of the farm where it dips down so that we can actually hold water on the farm. So we use less water. And then we do cover crops, which adds nitrogen, breaks up soil, also adds biodiversity, brings in all kinds of beneficial insects that help pollinate and keep the bad insects out. And so we're really working on kind of developing more of like a permaculture system rather than just a traditional farming system where we're just taking and taking from the land. So it's really, really important to us there that we are building soil. And the ways that we're building soil is we add a lot of compost, we have worms, I've built a big old worm berm where we added red wiggler worms, and we feed them, and it's basically like a worm condominium. And then we feed them on one side and harvest their poop, which are called worm castings, from the other side. And currently using the worm castings only right now in the greenhouse where we start all of our seeds that end up growing and being put into the fields. So they get a really good start with like lots of microbes, and it's like, well, I don't want to use that analogy. It's kind of weird, but so we're trying to really build up the biology of the soil and the biology of the whole farm, really, and making it very diverse. Because that's what you would imagine when you walk into a natural area like a forest. You see lots of diversity, and it's super healthy because of that reason. So we don't do any tilling. Also, we break everything up by hand, which is kind of crazy because the soil that we're working with is like cement. It's got a lot of clay in it. We use this thing called a broad fork, and it just kind of opens up the soil rather than tilling through it and destroying all that biology that we've been working so hard to build. And we use lots of wood chips, which bring other microbes and fungus. Mushrooms are great for soil building because they break down the soil really fast and turn it into like really healthy, good stuff that other microbes then turn into food for our plants. So that's what we're doing out there, and I'm as you can tell, I'm very passionate about doing it that way, because I believe it can save the earth.
Wonderful. Are there any questions? Mary, thanks so much for sharing about the farm, and she really could talk all day about our farming practices. That is what she does. So if there's any questions about farming before we jump into a volunteer engagement, this would be a good time for it, or later. Also fine.
There is a question in the chat, and I can read it, but I wonder if Joanna wants to ask the question, but she wondered if our approach or your approach, Mary, is similar. I don't know this documentary, to the documentary Biggest Little Farm.
So it is, yes, it is very similar. We don't have the money and the infrastructure that they have. So they were able to have animals. Obviously, animals are like the best soil builders, as long as you're not keeping them in one spot and you're moving them around. Their poop and their moving soil around is just, it's one of the best things that you can do. One day we will have chickens, and I hope to move them around the farm. But yeah, we definitely, they had a giant worm composting facility, and so we're doing that on a smaller scale. Also, our farm isn't as big as theirs, but that documentary is really cool way to see how using natural systems can actually be super beneficial in keeping, like, regenerating land. So yes, in a way we are. We just don't have the same abilities as them. We're doing it on a smaller scale. But there is a movie that you should totally check out. Oh gosh, I just lost the name of it. I'll put it in the chat.
Kiss the Earth.
Yes, Kiss the Earth. And that is one that anybody can do, and I recommend it to all of you. everyone. They should watch Kiss the Earth. It's actually on Netflix.
I agree. It's a great overview of some of the practices that we use, and it's fun too. So we're going to move on to talking about volunteering at Family Harvest Farm, what we are all here for. So we have our first really large scale volunteer event coming up in September, on September 17th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We're going to have an orientation and a tour and then farm work. And so we're recommending that folks, if they want to join in volunteering at Family Harvest Farm, that you come on one of these larger scale volunteer orientation days where you get kind of the lay of the land, besides this wonderful PowerPoint that you're seeing the lay of the land on. And then there will be ongoing farm volunteering opportunities, but it kind of gets kicked off with these kinds of volunteer days. So there's going to be more of these. It's really good. For those of you, since you're on this webinar, you'll be on our emailing list now, so you'll hear about that there. I'll talk about ways you can stay in touch later in the presentation, but this is our first day first volunteer day happening. You can see the photo here is of Mary giving some produce to and hugging one of our Rotary volunteers who is very generous with his time. We'll talk about service or groups in just a moment, but so that's the first big event, and we hope to see you all there. I understand it's on a Friday, but there will be more events coming up. Let me see if I have any other notes I wanted to cover. Mary's impressive because she's giving this presentation without notes, and me, I'm just sitting here with my notes. You note that when you're working at a workforce development program, so we're a workforce development program, our apprentices are learning farm skills and transferable skills. So your role is to be a good role model to the apprentices and work hard and help out Mary and myself when you're on site. We're looking for volunteers who are 18 and older or who are attending with their parent or a guardian. Okay, and I think I skipped a slide. No, I didn't. Okay, so Mary wanted to share with us about what once you've gone through a larger scale volunteer event, what ongoing volunteer farming looks like. Mary, are you with us that you can share about that?
Yeah.
Great. I didn't see your picture. Thanks for being here.
Sorry.
It's me, not you.
So one thing that we really need volunteers for, so we have the crew really working on making sure that we're getting everything in the fields, getting everything sown in the greenhouse, but by doing that, we're falling off on such things like weeding and prepping soil and bed prep. And on harvest days, sometimes it gets crazy because we have so many things to harvest, and our crew varies from being 4 to 10 people. So when there's 4 people, it's hard to get everything harvested that same day. So a volunteer would come in. Ideally, they would be helping with harvesting. They would be helping with building soil, preparing soil. They would be helping with mulching. They would be helping with weeding. Weeding is honestly a huge one, and mulching, and even planting, because plantings can be, sometimes we have a lot to plant in one day and I get overwhelmed. I'm like, oh, we just don't have, we have to get this all done today, because it's not going to last in the greenhouse over the weekend. So anyways, what I'm saying is, you'll be helping with weeding, mulching, prepping beds, preparing soil, harvesting, and planting. On a regular basis.
We have a question in the chat. If I could ask that from Matthew. Matthew, I'm just going to read it. And I am representing Pittsburg Rotary, and we're interested in participating in the project. I would like to get the Pitt High students involved, but they're not all 18. Are there any youth volunteer opportunities?
Thank you, Matthew, for joining us today. And that's really exciting. I would like to work with you specifically, or maybe we can work with one of the teachers to have it become a field trip. So a really good way for folks who are, especially if they are with a club or with a class that's interested in this kind of work, we could put together a field trip, and with chaperones and signed waivers from parents or guardians, then we could work that out, but it has to be a specific organized day that we would do that. But that sounds really exciting, really interested in that. I will put my email in the chat here. And Matthew, it would be great to hear from you. We also are going to be talking about service organizations, and Paul Bettelheim, who's on our call, is going to be sharing how Rotary has been involved in the past. And so, Matthew, you might see other opportunities in the next slide that you'd also be or in partnership interested with. So thanks for your interest. That's exciting. So as promised, service projects. So here we have a picture of wonderful Long Run to Sunrise Rotarian helping install our newest piece of irrigation out on the farm. And we've received a lot of support from Rotary, mostly organized at this point by Sunrise Rotary, who's helped us with volunteer days. They've done trash cleanup and mulching, funding support, and labor for installation. They've done a lot: funding support, labor, installation, and project management of projects such as irrigation, our greenhouse, which you'll see a photo of, and Ken asked about our vegetable wash station, which was installed just a few months ago, and it's really boosted how wonderful our kitchen is, and helps us also with our security. So service organizations, especially Rotary, Long Run to Sunrise, has been super helpful. So you can see on this sheet here some of the projects that are available to service groups. So this could be Rotary, this could be Kiwanis, this could be Boy Scouts, or other organizations of this type that I don't know of, but we're looking for to build out more our kitchen shelving and our pantry and seating, all of that. We are looking to build a portable but more significant farm stand. Right now, our farm stand is a table that folds up in a little pop-up tent. Compost bins, a bike rack, and also for organizations who are interested in helping to fund specific projects, there also are opportunities for that. And at this point, I would like to invite Paul Bettelheim to speak up and share with his experience as a Rotarian working with the farm as a major partner. They've just been really, really great in helping us out, helping him and Jack and Mary really grow this program. And so we're super grateful for them. And Paul, if you could share with us your experience and share the screen with us, it'd be great.
Certainly. Am I on? You don't want to see my face, do you?
Oh, I do. I can see it and I want to.
Okay. So Long Run to Sunrise Rotary was first introduced to this project about 4 years ago when the farm site was completely like the first picture that Hannah showed. And it was a little hard to show enthusiasm for this project. You know, the obstacles that Jack and Kim faced were overwhelming, but their enthusiasm and dedication overcame all the hurdles. And it's been a real honor for Rotary to work with them in the developmental stages of this project. And I would like to make it very clear that this was not just Loma Linda Sunrise Rotary. This was a coalition of 8 Rotary clubs, including Pittsburg, Antioch, the Antioch Delta Club, as well as Clayton and other clubs that donated money and in addition to a district grant. So the early stages of our involvement was really in developing infrastructure. We were able to make a contribution of the greenhouse, the storage sheds. We also did some work on the security, as well as some of the service projects that we did, including cleanup projects out at the site, helping to install the fencing and the irrigation. I guess the strongest endorsement that I would give this project is that our clubs and our members probably got as much out of this project as the farm did. During COVID times, when it was hard to keep service organizations focused, this has been a lifesaver for our club. And the members just really thrived on their involvement out there. But the farm has really reached a point of maturity, where it's kind of going into its next phase. And certainly its location in the Pittsburg area makes it a very desirable project for local service organizations. And that's not to say that Loma Linda Sunrise will stop being a partner. We certainly want to continue to be a partner, but I think the strength of the whole community supporting this project really is the future for Family Harvest Farm. And we want to do everything that we can to make it a community success and to ensure its success.
Thanks, Paul. That's a really shining recommendation. And I know that you said that you got as much out of it as we did, but we've received so much, and I can even show proof of that here in this next slide. This is the greenhouse that it was a collaborative effort amongst Rotarians to fund this, and I believe that's right, Paul, right? Is this from the grant that came from many Rotarians?
Yes, it's a combination of a district grant, which is Northern California, and the participating Rotary clubs, as well as some outside funding. So there was multiple sources of funding for all the work that we did.
Thank you. Well, this greenhouse has really been a game changer, and having Rotary support out on the farm as knowledgeable and helpful labor and as friends has just been great, especially when things were just starting and we really needed their energy and support to get off the ground. Mary loves Rotary as well. Mary, is there anything you wanted to share about the greenhouse or working with Rotary or groups like that?
Well, I have been at the farm myself for 3 years now, before it was even a farm. And the Rotary has been supporting us from that whole time. I really, really don't feel that we would be where we are right now if it wasn't for all of their support. Every little piece, our irrigation, just so many things we thought, oh no, what are we going to do? And they stepped in and they're like, here's a greenhouse, here's irrigation, it's just been, and then also the relationships that I have with them are super special. So I'm just so grateful to the Rotary.
Thanks, Mary. Yes, grateful for Rotary, grateful for the greenhouse, and like Paul said, they're still going to be involved, but we're looking for other service clubs as well who are interested to spread the love around, and keep the existing love there too. Karen Sakata says, such a great, beautiful greenhouse. Thanks, Karen. All right. Well, to stay in touch, to stay in the volunteer loop, it's really good to sign up for our newsletter by going to the John Muir Land Trust. So again, we're a program of John Muir Land Trust. So when I say our website, I mean the John Muir Land Trust website, and there's a Family Harvest Farm page there. If you go there, you can get on our mailing list or emailing list to find out when upcoming volunteer opportunities are. And we also have a volunteer page on the Land Trust website, and a calendar. And I think I missed one of our slides. Did I? Oh. Yeah, well, to stay in touch, you can also just reach out to Mary or myself. And I didn't get Paul's email up here. Paul, if you want to throw your contact information into the chat, I think there could be a lot of people who would want to reach out to you as well. Mary, is there anything that you want to share about volunteering, or anything that I didn't mention that you want to share?
Well, just that I'm really looking forward to seeing more people working together on the farm. And I think that one of my most greatest, fondest experiences that I've experienced in this world is working at the Homeless Garden Project and being in relationship with volunteers from all different walks of life. And then there's this, homeless group or foster youth group, and just everybody being able to relate amongst each other on this like beautiful thing, growing food together, regenerating land. People come together in areas where they wouldn't ever normally be together. And so I'm really, really looking forward to seeing that on the farm. And I'm also looking forward to get more help.
There's a couple questions in the chat, Hannah. Let's see. Do you want me to read them, or are you?
I can see them now. But if I miss something, please feel free to help me see them.
So there's one from Kenneth, says, thank you. Would like a little more information about the young adults that are benefiting from the program.
Well, I would be happy to share more. Mary has shared a little bit, but we work with transition age foster youth. So those are people who have grown up in the foster care system, and they are now 18 to 24 years old. And they are stepping into the world, working on educational goals or trying to get a job. And so we designed the program so that they would receive benefit by gaining farming skills and also transferable skills. The transferable skills are things such as basic communication and showing up to work on time and regularly, all the way up to leadership. So there's a tiered level of skills that they work on. So we meet our youth through our core collaborators, which are agencies that work in Contra Costa County and some of them beyond, but in Contra Costa County, and they work with this specific population and they refer them to us. And so they have a lot of the youth who are on site with us have a case manager who Mary is in very close communication with, so that we're building out their network through social services, but also building out their network through the volunteers that they meet at the farm, through the staff that they work with at the farm, and most importantly, each other, the strong community that they have been developing. let's see, Mary, what else can we say? There's a lot more to say.
Anna, that was a really great way to put it, though. I liked that a lot. I don't know. What else do you want to know, Kim?
That's fine. Thanks. I just thought maybe some of the folks who are learning about the program tonight for the first time might want to know not only about the farm, but also about the benefit for the humans as well.
Well, I was talking to one of our apprentices last week, and so we were setting up our farm stand, giving produce out on the street, and she was kind of noticing that from afar because she had harvested the tomatoes, and she was saying, wow, I really appreciate the farm. And she listed off 4 reasons, and I hope I can remember them all. The first one was because we just give away amazing produce to the people. To anyone who wants it. And she loved that because she's grown this produce from seed all the way to produce. So that was really meaningful to her. I think the second thing was she just loved farming, that the act of farming itself was really, really beneficial to her, that made her feel better in her body. The third thing was actually kind of surprising to me, but I'm really grateful that she said it, that as a foster youth or as someone who can sometimes be labeled in society as like a bad kid or something like that, the farm helps people from different walks of life come together. And so she felt like being at the farm has helped her meet different people and kind of turn around that myth that she believes is out there that she might be known as a bad kid. And I really appreciated her saying that, because I think, well, I hope that's happening. She sees it and experiences it happening. So that was really special to me, because I think that's really impactful. And there was one more gem. Oh, the fourth thing was that she goes to another community center or another community gathering spot. It's a community center. And she says that she wants to help them build out a farm or a little garden there, because she sees so many benefits that she wants. And she's learned a lot of the farm. She has the skill to actually do that as well, to step up and help someone build a new garden. So she's thinking about how she could share her gardening experience with a different community that she sees other people benefiting from, that she benefits from. So there we were, spreading mulch after harvesting tomatoes, and she just boom, 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 just laid it out to me. This is what I appreciate about the farm. And it's kept me motivated for a while. So thanks for asking again.
Yeah, I think we're talking about the same person. And I actually brought her to my son's school where I'm the gardener. And one of the middle school kids were out there, and she taught them how to plant out the spacing and how to plant and to add compost. She ran the whole thing, and it was just so fulfilling to see. It was like to see like she's learning stuff on the farm that she can share with other people in this super excited, passionate way.
Without sharing names, I think the good news is I think we're actually talking about different people.
Oh,
yeah. So that's also really good.
Cool. Yes.
Yeah. Someone else at the farm had told me, one of the apprentices was telling me, they said, I go grocery shopping here at the farm. I get my fresh produce from the farm here, and then I can go, to the grocery store and pick up the dry goods. But that they rely, and well, I mean, it's appropriate. If you work on a farm, you should be taking home produce, it's hanging off the vine. So it's really accessible, and they can take it home and eat it and cook up different meals with it, and share that food with their friends or family. Another apprentice was taking home a bunch of peppers one day because they wanted to share produce with folks who had helped them out in some ways with childcare and things like that. So the produce itself is a gift. There's one more story that I had brewing right there, but it disappeared. Mary, do you have one?
No, but I did notice that Otis has commented in the chat, and he's actually been out to the farm a few times and worked with the youth, and he always comes back because I think that he really, really loves it.
Otis, do you want to share anything? He's got to work on his audio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, I'm on the phone call, so I unmuted there. Yeah, working on the farm, it's been fantastic. Yeah, we got a wrestling with the dog in the background here. Working with the youth is so fun because it's seeing kids at their first job. A lot of times, you're just right into the job market and kind of learning and experiencing that, and being at my age and working as many jobs as I had, and hearing their energy and their excitement and the things they're learning, and they're so excited to teach. Like, some of them will come up and I'll be like, I have no idea what I'm doing with this instrument, broad fork or whatever it is. And they'll hop right in and be like, oh, let me show you. This is the way you do it. This is how in the easier way. And this also helps. And the enthusiasm is really fun to watch. It builds up it gets me excited to come back.
Thanks, Otis. Thanks for sharing.
There is one more thing that I just remembered, and that is some of the apprentices come to the farm not wanting to get dirty, or just being very like, oh, worms. And one of those particular apprentices now picks up our worms and holds them in her hand and names them. This one's Bob, and look, he's totally making like the soil really good, and and so that's been really fun to watch too.
Another story has popped into my head. We had a TV crew come out to do a story on the farm. And so we had a reporter come out with a camera, and some of the apprentices were really excited, based on personalities, just like all of us are like, oh, I want to be on screen. And so one of the apprentices, they called their cousin right after they've been on screen. And they're like, yeah, I was just on TV. Yeah, for my job, for this farm, not for some stupid stuff. It made me think, oh, they're really proud to be recognized for this work, versus something else that you might be recognized for. So that also is very motivating to me. There's a lot. I guess we could probably go on with these stories. There might be some other questions on different topics.
Yeah, there were a couple more. These are great. I'm new to the organization, so I love hearing the stories. There were two very specific questions. One is from Janelle, I think, about wondering if only accepting groups to volunteer or individuals. And I think that I can answer that as the individuals are welcome to come to volunteer. And then the other question was about the volunteer day on the 17th. How do we sign up or just show up? Can you explain again, Hannah, what to do?
Yeah, well, you're kind of in the in crowd at this point because you know about it and we haven't yet promoted it on our website. So you can just show up. That's when we'll be having it. But I would recommend staying tuned to our website. We will have a registration page so that you can stay in the loop and get the newest information and learn about it there. So yes, as an individual, you can come and volunteer at the farm. You can come volunteer on that first September day. And also, but if you have a larger group, you can come to that event itself. Or if it's kind of a group that has got some special interests or specific interests like that, reach out to me and let me know what you're thinking and see if we'd want to organize something specific.
And I see one more question in the chat from Jamie about the farm stand. Is the farm stand out front also selling produce or giving it away? Which is fantastic, they say. What about farmers markets?
At this point, our farm stand, we're giving produce away through our farm stands, and people can stay in the loop about that through our Facebook, the John Muir Land Trust Facebook page. And we also, this last year, we had two inspired by our apprentices who really wanted to, Mary, do you want to talk about the plant sale and the produce sale?
Sure. We had all these extra plants. And we're like, what should we do with them? And I had worked at a farm before where we sold plants. That was what we did. And I didn't even have to mention that. I was talking to one of our apprentices and she was like, well, what if we sell them? I really think we should do that. I think it would really like build up the morale, and so we don't see like all of our work going to nothing. And so we just set up an amazing farm stand, kind of impromptu. And we must have, we had 30 the first day, the first one.
Yeah, we had 30 or 40 guests show up.
30
We
or 40
promoted it
guests.
through Facebook.
We made close to $400, I think.
Mhm.
And I think that we want to keep doing that, like especially during the springtime, because at that time we just always have extra plants. And also another one of the times, one of our apprentices just kind of totally took it on. He put signs up all over Antioch and Pittsburgh that he printed out himself, and he printed out descriptions and pictures of every plant that we were selling, and created this board, and then actually stood out there and sold the produce and the plants. And so I think that it's super beneficial for our apprentices, and also just beneficial for us to have that kind of acknowledgement.
Yeah, so we're definitely sharing our produce and our plants with the community, and right now that's through the farm stands and through plant sales. So you can hear about our plant sales and produce sales again through our email list. And we will be doing CSAs and farmers markets in the future. Perhaps not this year, but that is in the works and in our plan. And just another note about the excess plants, it's pretty common in springtime to have, because if you're in your greenhouse and you're planting seeds, you don't know how many of them are going to come up. But if you're successful, you've got large success rates, so that's where you get all these excess plants from. And that's, sales are just beneficial because then you can sell those excess plants. Well, this has been great. I'm so energized. Emily, do we have any additional questions?
I don't think so. Lots of thank you and inspiration. So I think we're good.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate this. And let's see, one more thing. Paul Bettelheim, is there anything that you wanted to add that maybe we didn't add?
Once you start working out there, you'll get hooked, and all your free time will be dedicated to the farm. So just beware. It's a lot of fun.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks. All right, Mary, I'll let you sign us off.
I'm just really, I can't wait to meet all of you. I'm sure I've met a lot of you. And it's going to be really exciting having you all out at the farm. And thank you so much for joining this Zoom meeting, and looking forward to building relationships.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.